Due to the dramatic spread of mass media and its side effects, the racial conflict and hatred have increased rapidly in global society. In the status quo, the Brazilian government has pursued the diversity of race and culture as a member of the international community, taking the responsibility of building healthy, diverse, and equal relationships all over the world. According to these keynotes and positions, she is conducting many multicultural policies, cooperating with other member states of global society, especially the American nations. She is willing to hold campaigns to improve awareness of color, a criterion of racism in Brazil, which can induce active citizen participation and be related to various parts of Brazilian society. Also, Brazil's race policy is more focused on racial integration and harmony, especially in assimilationist to immigration methods. In the social context, her government is willing to improve the educational system, especially focusing on the language problem and distance learning. Brazil is conducting the process of supporting the foreign students by providing the language course or visa for study. After COVID-19 in Brazil, educational inequality is regarded as a big problem, so we adopted a higher educational quota system, which increased the college entrance rate of Brazil's people of color into basic education. By approving the system with the support of SECID, that is one of Brazil's educational aid organizations, students of various races can provide equal education. Furthermore, more people of color will enter society. Also, she anticipates that the system of race allocation will ensure freedom regardless of their race. The delegate of Brazil hopes that this will lead to the common purpose of the international community and improve the exchange of human and other resources, which will finally cause amicable relationships. This delegate hopes for a fruitful and constructive debate in order to solve the issues at hand today. Thank you.
The government's vision is to grow into a country with strong financial and economic power based on India's technology and knowledge. India wants to increase the ratio of mandatory employment related to the caste system to solve the job problem. In addition, to become a knowledge power nation, it is necessary to implement a preferential admission policy according to ethnic minorities. Government support and continuous investment are needed to prevent the outflow of talent to overseas universities. For the development of information technology, the focus should be on establishing a new media model through exchanges with countries with high media indexes. This will resolve the caste system and racial discrimination deeply rooted in Indian society. By preventing racial bias problems, diversity and freedom of race can be guaranteed and a fair reporting environment can be created. This delegate hopes for a worthwhile and constructive debate in order to solve the issues before long today. Thank you.
The French declared that racism does not exist on a serious scale in France. Racism against the members of minority groups, including Jews, Africans, and Arabs, is rampant. Furthermore, several African countries are in the middle, since those countries have been substantially assimilated into France, thus degrading cultural diversity. France is therefore looking for institutional guidelines for racial discrimination against minority groups. She especially wishes for non-European countries to help France by introducing legacy related to culture and religion. In addition, she is able to provide financial support and governmental assistance to the social minorities residing in France to establish multinational corporations and language aid. This delegate hopes for a fruitful and constructive debate in order to solve the issues at hand today. Thank you.
From the start of humanity, minorities have always been treated worse than others. And this still holds true today, especially in the country of Japan. Racism against minority ethnic groups occurs throughout Japan. To solve this issue, Japan has allocated her budget to enact law forbidding discrimination and to initiate programs supporting minorities. Despite this, the discrimination towards these people still continues. She is willing to implement foreign cultural education, especially for adolescents, which we hope would eradicate the illegitimate behavior within the country. She is also willing to provide countries with economic payments and offer international relationship with these countries as well. This plan will ultimately lead to a society that contains less toxicity for minorities. This delegate hopes for fruitful and constructive debate in order to solve this problem at hand today. Thank you.
In spite of the ongoing international struggle to eradicate racial discrimination, racist prejudice seems like an insurmountable obstacle to the eventual coexistence of the entire humanity. Republic of South Africa was liberated from apartheid, a racial segregation system, in 1994, but is still suffering from the aftermath of the policy. According to the World Economic Forum, South Africa is on the point of disintegration with severe corruption and economic crisis originated from racism. BEE, Black Economic Empowerment, has been contributing to the largest gap between the rich and the poor, and the current educational system is also problematic without equalized quality of education in different races due to restrictions on movement for people of color. Despite the conversion of media ownership to the Black, racial discriminative expression is still prevalent, preventing the ethnic hatred from being faded away. Overall, South Africa has been making efforts to establish public systems by creating its own institutions, but it lacks a professional response. Taking these into account, she desperately calls for establishment of intergovernmental monitoring for anti-corruption to eliminate the previous political scandal. Considering the unbudgeable conflict between races, additional influx of multinational corporation and educational supports are also requested. This will lead to the operation of multinational society in South Africa and enable the entire nation to be benefited regardless of their skin color. This delegate hopes for a valuable conclusion from other delegates today. Thank you.
Including 63.4% of the population identified as white, 15.3% as Latinx, 13.4% as Black, 5.9% as Asian, and more. Immigrants make up 13.7% of the total population and account for 17% of the country's workforce. She's aware of the seriousness of racism in America, which is growing since the Columbian Exchange, as well as its influence throughout varied disciplines, including social, linguistic, political, diplomatic, journalistic, educational, and especially economic fields. She has issued several executive orders about racism as the spotlight was brought back onto it in response to the disturbing disparity of COVID-19 death rates between different ethnic groups, as demonstrated by the fact that African Americans accounted for 3/4 of the total fatalities during the pandemic. Outside of the US, she is planning to donate funds to eliminate racism in a number of other countries and incorporate it in terms of policy development. This will address these challenges at home and abroad and change the world to have genuine devotion to human rights and impartiality. This delegate hopes for a fruitful and positive debate in order to find an answer to the issues at hand today. Thank you.
The time for the Moderating Caucus has elapsed. Now we will have a preparation time of 5 minutes. Please get your speech ready for the Moderating Caucus.
And also, U.S. will fund this exhibit and spread to the all world. U.S. seriously recognizing the lackness of health systems because of the racism. She recognizes the budget problems of the SUS and is planning to support $75 billion out of 80% of SUS budget, which causes inefficiency. U.S. would adopt the SUS and get policy support from Brazil. Asians are facing increasing physical and emotional discrimination in the societal landscape. Utilizing France's Alliance Citoyenne Fund, she is aiming to receive education on these issues and collaborate with France to address racial discrimination problems. This initiative supports various anti-racism plans such as the Resilience BC Anti-Racism Network and Multicolorism and Anti-Racism Awards. It provides funding to aid these efforts and intends for the government to implement anti-racism data laws for identifying grievances in programs and services. South Africans from India make up 3% of the total, and they are well known in many areas. Their holy cultural events linking the spirit of Gandhi and Mandela, improving awareness through cultural exchanges and sharing history, dealing with colonial prejudice, and drawing a policies for Indian people in South Africa. She is expecting for the relationship between freedom and the struggle for justice.
All nations are suffering from systemic racism, including racial profiling by governmental authorities and employment discrimination by corporations against ethnic minorities. Therefore, each government are planning to propel a joint policy research project, which includes reinforcing affirmative action and recovering equality in the criminal justice system in order to reduce discrimination between different ethnic groups.
Which was held in Brazil, like CNPIR, which is a consultative collegiate institution made up of a number of civil society and government representatives. So in our labor market, like every country's labor market, there is the difference between the white and black workers. So we thought that the multinational forum, which is including the black population, like Southern Africa or America or France, it would be more efficient forum between blacks. And also, India has a lot of workforce, so because France hopes to ease the wage gap and the unemployment rate of non-white nations, but we could provide the workforce from India to France, so the workforce gap could reduce.
People and rich people are similarly being discriminated by, like, your refugees and immigrants. For example,
Multicultural curriculum. So France has like good systems to adjust to the French culture. So
about them doing student trade program. France has immigrant problems right now and refugee problems. Many people come from Africa or some other countries who are still in the developing phase. And South Africa is same or similar with France. And we have also, our problem is that in Japan, discrimination related to refugees and immigrants are low, but the problem is island and region. So I am thinking about why don't we go with the problem of refugees and immigrants for these two, and then yes, it is for exchange students to study abroad. It is objective to exchanges such as cultural minorities and understanding each other. So I thought Brazil has like minorities are not treated well, and we have the education program. So I think we can provide exchange students between us, Brazil and USA. I think we should keep that
issue of immigrants from South America. So, Brazil is also famous for receiving a lot of immigrants from countries like Brazil. So,
well, in case of Brazil, well, today, Brazil is very confident with her racial problems. If there is few number of the problems and conflicts conducted in Brazil related with race.
This is delegate of India, and we had a discussion between United States of America and Brazil. So first of all, Brazil is willing to hold campaigns to improve awareness of color, Christian of racism in Brazil. She plans to hold constant exhibits in advertising, literature, and art to produce campaigns which can induce active citizen participation, as awareness of color is making discrimination in Brazil and also in India. They're expecting to hold contest exhibits with India in several aspects to produce campaigns, and the US will fund these exhibits and spreads to the whole world. And second one, the discussion between India and America is that the delegate of India requests United States of America to provide people to educate the poor people in India. So as you guys know, there are many Indian Americans in America, and also, for example, the Vice President of United States of America is Indian American. So there are many socially successful people in America, in Indian American. So Indian government wants to United States of America to help our uneducated people to be educated with the power of Indian American society. And the thing that American government wanted Indian government to do is that there are many talented people in the IT field in India, and the United States wants this. Therefore, the delegate of the United States will support the education of talented people through the U.S. education system. India is known to have about 65% of its population under the age of 30. Therefore, it is expected that the delegate of the United States will be able to develop IT industries by providing the labor force from India, and the delegate of India will be able to solve the
employment problem with financial support from the United States. Thank you.
Delegate of US is hoping to exchange of Indian and American English data in Indian English-based IT programs and American language programs, which can shift the perception of English as a standard form of English speakers in each country. These procedures contribute to resolving language-based racism. What we claim is that the U.S. provides capital instead of being provided with India's workforce. It provides tuition facilities and education to several IT-led universities in India, and deploys the resulting talent to several IT companies in the United States. The United States and Brazil have agreed to develop immigrant policies together, providing joint funding to other Central American countries to enable independent growth of such nations. The two governments have also agreed to help improve living standards in immigrant shelters, providing necessary resources and support to Central and South American immigrants to help them resettle. And in Brazil, non-face-to-face classes have been active due to the COVID-19, and the internet is not well developed, so only the upper class people take remote classes due to the gap between the rich and the poor. Therefore, if she provides financial support, we will explore the above policies and measure together.
First, South Africa decided to create a cultural exchange program with Japan and France in the social and cultural field. In South Africa, where various cultures and languages coexisted, we plan to hold a South African experience event for Japanese and French students.
It also aims to learn lessons about discrimination commonly associated with apartheid hate and Ainu people through exchange students, programs, or
something. Next, in the field of media, we produce
content to reduce hate speech with Japan. By fusing Japan's large film market with South Africa's high press freedom index, we will establish united media organizations or mutual monitoring system. The public will be able to more accurately perceive the seriousness of racism, and Japan will may enter new markets. South Africa was able to align our own interests in Japan in the economic and diplomatic aspects. At the 15th BRICS Summit, it was agreed to receive the Japanese investment to
promote economic cooperation and attract foreign investors through the South Africa's Business Council. It was focused on agriculture products and pharmaceutical and the automotive industry. Next,
South Africa planned a campaign to eradicate discriminatory expressions by converging education and languages. French cinema will very developed pop culture level will encourage better inspiration by presenting satirical works claiming the obligation of racial discrimination. It was also agreed to receive the financial support from France for South Africa's Ministry for the Basic Education. Student law agency NFAS has been decided to seek repayments on its behalf with the help of the new French institutions. South Africa decided to export some of the natural gas stored in Mossel Bay to France with the help of Sasol, an energy company from South Africa. We also decided to use the great grounds in the mild climates of Cape Town for the French wine industry and carry out marketing campaigns such as local drinks. In this industry, South Africa and France determined to satisfy the equal number of races of laborers. Thank you.
Multinational countries since World War II, accepting immigrants from worldwide. However, due to her colorblind social awareness and long history of imperialism, racism is one of her most serious issues today. The delegate of France believes racial discrimination can be improved by five solutions. First, she can consider with non-European or countries once have been colonized, so that they can establish anti-racism organizations to preserve native understand cultural and religious differences and improve education. France is planning for language festival and campaign with Republic of South Africa. Second, she has to improve concealment of racist issues through media. Compared to the United States, France is more likely to avoid frame of racism and mentioning perpetrator. Also, the coverage of racism in and outside of France attenuate racist side of events. She desired to have a joint research Republic of South Africa and Japan on press law related to hate speech and minority groups. Third, she hopes to ease the wage gap and unemployment rate of non-white nations. She has been working on anti-racist campaigns since unemployment rate of black have been doubled. But still, companies in France are reluctant about the truth that employing multi-ethnic population will bring huge financial benefit. She wishes to make an organization to reorganize labor law on racism. She is willing to give financial aid to establish racism related to organizations and institutional guidelines for multicultural education policies, especially for multicultural curriculum. It provides continuous management on education, adjustment, and mentality. As a result, France determined to make a bloc with Republic of South Africa. Thank you.
With the delegate of United States, the government of the Brazilian government is supported with the financial aid and the financial aid, and then the Brazilian government will provide the systems and policies related with multicultural and multi-language linguistic issues, and next, with Indian government and the government of United States, the government of Brazil is planning to build a common process. So in this process, United States government will take part with the financial support, and Brazilian government will take part with the support with the systems like multicultural systems and mainly maintaining the stable status related with the racial issues. And then Indian government will provide the human resources. So among three countries, the exchange of human resources and educational exchange will be more freer than before. And also with France,
the delegate of Brazil for the Brazilian government to alienate the visa limitation and also provide the financial support related with adaptation in Brazil for foreign students who are studying in Brazil.